What if you have an old iron or even a shaft with a grip laying around? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on the ground about where my feet would be. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to put my toes on the grip and on the shaft. Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how to never hit the heel of your wedge again. I'm going to give you two fantastic drills to help you never hit the heel again. But before we get to that, I've really enjoyed bringing this free content to you, and our community, it's growing, and I want it to continue to grow, and you can help us do that. And the way you can do that is by liking this video when it's over, subscribing to my YouTube channel, and the easiest way to do that, there's a little red subscribe button in the corner of this video. Just click on it and it will alert you when I have new videos available for you to watch, and then comment. Ask questions. Let us know if you have any video ideas for future videos. Okay, so as always, I want to start by defining what is the heel of the wedge. And the heel of the wedge is the side closest to where the shaft enters the club head. And on irons and on wedges, we have a hosel. And that is just a fancy term for this little area where the shaft goes into the club head. Now, why is that problematic? On your hybrids, your fairway woods, and your driver, you don't have a hosel. So when you hit it in the heel, the ball doesn't go as far as it should, but yet you can still advance the ball. The problem with a wedge or an iron, when I hit the hosel, what happens is a word that we don't like to talk about in golf, and it starts with an S. Yes, I'm going to say it. It's a shank. So the ball actually hits in the socket, it hits off the hosel, and believe it or not, the face closes very rapidly, and the ball will hit again towards the other side of the club face. So technically, anybody who shanked a ball in competition before the new rules change was actually a double hit, and they should have been penalized. But a great way is, and I've used this in other videos, is the Dr. Scholl's foot spray, the yellow can. I'll have a link for it down below. And make sure that you spray the hosel when you do this to know if you're somebody who struggles with that S word. Are you hitting it off the hosel? Because there's really two ways I can create a shank. It can be a toe shank where I hit it very far out off the end of the club, so the very toe end of the club, and I just catch the very edge of the ball and the ball just shoots off to the side. But the other way, and I would say in the very high 90 percentile, when I see it shanked, this is how it happens, is that it actually hits in the socket or in the hosel. Remember where the shaft meets or goes into the club head, that's the hosel. So it actually hits off the hosel, and that's why we see it go lateral for me off to the left. If you're a right-handed player, you're going to see it go lateral off to the right, and it is a non-functional golf shot. There is not a time and a place where that shot's going to be useful unless it bounces off a cart and comes back onto the green or something like that. All right. So we know what the heel of the wedge is. We know why hitting it in the heel of the wedge can be problematic. So now let's get into some fixes as to what we can do. And again, I'm going to stay more on the solution side. I'm not going to get real in-depth as to how and why and the different things that cause a shank. I'm just going to get more into, you know what, I'm shanking, I'm desperate here, I need a solution. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, and one of the places where I see people go wrong, and it's a very simple fix, is it's a balance issue. So as they're returning the wedge to impact, they fall towards the golf ball. And guess what? If I start with the with the ball in the middle of the club face, and as I'm swinging, I start falling towards the golf ball, well, guess where it's going to hit? It's going to hit in the heel side or off the hosel, like we already mentioned, and that's not going to be a very good result, not one that you're happy with. So what's something we can do to help us maintain our balance as we're coming through. And when I see this with students, the first thing I'll do, and this would be the least invasive and the easiest thing to do, is just start with your weight on your heels and feel like you keep the weight on the heels. This may work, it may not. Another way to make sure your weight is on your heels, I'll even have my students lift their toes a little. And so when I lift my toes, again, that's going to push the weight onto the heels, and if I can feel like I keep those toes elevated through impact, should help me not fall into the golf ball, should help me hit the center of the club face. Now that might be hard for you to do, especially if you're somebody who struggles with balance. So we're going to do the same thing but in a different way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a golf club. So I have an old golf club here that I have at my golf school. I would prefer that you don't use your brand new PXG iron to do this. But if you have an old iron or even a shaft with a grip laying around, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on the ground about where my feet would be. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to put my toes on the grip and on the shaft. And so getting the spacing right here might take a couple times, but we're going to do our best to go ahead and make that happen. So now I've got my toes on the shaft, on the grip. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple practice swings, and what I feel this do is this really forces my weight to my heels. Keeps my toes elevated, really forces my weight to my heels. And I'm going to make a couple practice swings, make sure I have a good feel for that. And when I do, I'm going to go ahead and hit one. So that was really good, felt solid, and definitely came off the middle of the club face. Okay, so if you can identify that your heel hit is coming from a balance issue, that's an awesome way to fix it. Remember, just getting on your heels a little more, picking your toes up, that would be without a club, or finding an old golf club, laying it on the ground, putting your toes on it to elevate your toes, and then just working on that sensation of balance will definitely help you find the center of the club face. So what's another way? I try that, it doesn't work, so obviously it's not a balance issue, it's a little more in-depth than that. What's another way that I can keep from hitting my wedges off the heel? And another drill I use quite often at my golf school, and I'll tell you why this works in just a second, is I'll take a golf ball that I want to hit, and then I'm going to take another golf ball and I'm going to align it so the hosel is behind the ball that I want to hit, and the end of the club would hit that outside ball if I hit the hosel. So if I make a swing and I hit it near the heel of the club, I'm going to hit that outside ball. So it's a little bit of fear factor going on here. And my goal is, when I hit this shot, is I just want to hit the ball closest to me, and I don't want to hit that ball to the outside. So what does this do? How does this help? And there's something that can affect us in a negative way, and it's called our hand path. So that's the path that my hands and the handle travel on as I'm hitting a wedge shot. And if my hand path gets too far away from my body, I'm going to hit that outside golf ball. So what should happen with the hand path? What should happen is, as I'm striking the golf ball, I hit the ball and then my hand path works back to the inside. So I see a lot of people that hand path never works back to the inside, and they struggle with heel hits, they struggle with shanks. So the second way that I would have you, or the next drill I would have you do if the first one doesn't work, would be this one, just putting a ball to the outside of the ball that I want to hit. Now in the first segment, I did a little half to like 3/4 swing. If you're somebody who struggles around the green when you're using these little shots, you can do it that way. This even works with full shots. You know, if your full wedges, hey, I'm good with the little wedges around the green, so when I take a full swing, I shank it every time. Well, then that's where you'll want to use these drills. So I did a short swing in the first segment. This one we'll do a full swing. I've got my ball to the outside of the ball that I want to hit. So I'm going to do everything I can to now hit the ball, the inside ball, not the outside ball. And one thing you can do, don't be afraid, and this is kind of a first place to look too. Don't be afraid to get a little further away from it. Don't be afraid to address it more towards the toe of the club. Anything I can do to eliminate the heel. But right now we're going to focus really hard on this hand path and making sure that I don't hit the outside ball. I'm going to go ahead and give it a full rip here. So a very solid wedge, landed right next to my target, and you can see the other ball is still sitting here, so my hand path was good. I look at the club face, I got a nice imprint right on the middle of the club face. So now you understand why hitting the heel of your wedge can cause that dreaded S word that we don't like to say in golf. And you have a couple fantastic ideas to keep you from hitting the heel of your wedge. And if you've enjoyed this video, I have 2 more here right now that I promise will continue to help you improve your game. And remember, please like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and comment.